Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to the Midday News on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Mukhtar Kasim. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and on StarTimes channel 276. We begin from the health sector, where the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors has warned that the country may soon face another nationwide shutdown of medical services following the federal government's failure to honor a memorandum of understanding previously signed with the association. In an urgent appeal to senior medical professionals and respected elders posted on X titled Urgent Appeal to Avert a Looming Nationwide NARD Strike, NARD Secretary General Dr. Shuaib Ibrahim cautioned that the nation was on the brink of a total and indefinite comprehensive strike. The association said the strike would be the inevitable result of the Federal Ministry of Health and the federal government's ignoring multiple deadlines for implementing the MOU signed with resident doctors. In the meantime, the Nigeria Medical Association has criticized the federal government for what it described as the paltry allocation to the health sector, noting that the proposed 2.48 trillion naira for 2026 amounts to approximately 10,400 naira per citizen for the fiscal year. The association said the amount allocated to the health sector is unacceptable and grossly inadequate. This estimate is based on the 2.48 trillion naira health sector allocation contained in President Bola Tinubu's 58.18 trillion naira appropriation bill presented to the National Assembly and the United Nations Population Fund estimated 237.5 million population for Nigeria. Away from the health sector to security, where the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Waidi Shuaib, has assured officers and soldiers of the Nigerian Army of improved welfare and enhanced security operations in 2026, as he charged them to sustain professionalism and intensify efforts against emerging security threats across the country. The Army Chief gave the assurance during the Yuletide season luncheon with troops at the front line held at Deban Lema in Edo local government area of Kwara State to mark Christmas 2025 and the New Year. Represented at the event by the Chief of Administration, Major General Muhammad Abdullahi, the Chief of Army Staff commended troops for their resilience, courage, and sacrifices, particularly those on active deployment during the festive season. Now, homeschooling has emerged as a growing alternative for parents seeking more control over their children's learning experience. With digital resources expanding and online platforms becoming more accessible, families are embracing flexible, personalized models that differ sharply from the mainstream school system. Our correspondent, Nafisa Baba, brings details in our subsequent bulletin. And now to weather matters, where the Nigerian Meteorological Agency NIMET has predicted a sunny and cloudy atmosphere from Monday to Wednesday across the country. The NIMET weather outlook, released in Abuja, envisaged sunny skies over the northern region throughout the forecast period. The agency stated that sunny skies with a few patches of cloud are anticipated over the central region throughout the forecast period. The federal government has graduated over 7,000 newly recruited forest guards from 7 frontline states to strengthen security and protect Nigeria's forests from criminal exploitations. The development followed successful completion of a 3-month intensive training program under the Presidential Forest Guard Initiative launched by President Bola Tinubu in May 2025. The deployment was contained in a statement by Rabiu Ibrahim, Special Assistant on Media to the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Muhammad Idris. In another development, the Kwara State Governor, Abdulrazak Abdurrahman, has warned that terrorists and kidnappers operating in the state must leave immediately or face destruction, saying the government is deploying all available resources to protect residents. This is as the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, said the federal government was determined to reclaim territories overtaken by criminal elements, assuring Nigerians that terrorism would be defeated. Rabiu Ribadu, in a statement announcing the graduation of over 7,000 forest guards, said the new personnel would support other security agencies, gather intelligence, and help protect communities vulnerable to attacks. Still on security matters, Kebbi State has bolstered its security framework with the graduation of 809 National Forest Guards trained to protect forest reserves and curb criminal activities. The Guards completed an intensive 9-week training program in Kalugu local government area, focusing on early warning systems, patrol operations, ambush tactics, and handling of AK-47 rifles. Their training was jointly supervised by the Department of State Services (DSS), the Nigeria Police Force, and the military, reflecting a coordinated security efforts. Workers in the National Assembly under the umbrella of Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria, PASAN, National Assembly Chapter, have demanded strict compliance with the Federal Character Principle in appointment into the Directorate cadre in the institution. The association made the demands in a letter addressed to the chairman of the National Assembly Service Commission. In the letter, signed by their chairman, Sabiyi Sunday, the workers urged the National Assembly Service Commission to draw inspiration from President Bola Tinubu's recent reversal of the controversial elevation of his aide-de-camp to Brigadier General. And now talking politics, 74 candidates of the People's Democratic Party in the forthcoming Federal Capital Territory Area Council elections are facing possible disqualifications following unresolved leadership crisis within the party. Now this comes as Labour Party has been completely shut out of the polls, having presented no candidate on the final list released by the Independent National Commission (INEC) on September 22, 2025. With the Area Council's elections scheduled for February 21, 2026, INEC documents show that out of the 16 registered political parties, only the Labour Party has no candidates cleared for the exercise. Still talking politics, the youth wing of the Action Democratic Congress (ADC) has issued a 7-day ultimatum to the federal government to suspend the enforcement of the 2025 Tax Act. Addressing a news conference in Kano State, the group warns that the failure to do so will result in a nationwide taxpayers' strike. Our correspondent Idris Jibrin reports.
The Action Democratic Congress Youth Wing says the recent presidential assent to the 2025 tax bills amounts to what it describes as a systematic dismantling of the social contract between the government and citizens. Hence, the call on federal government to immediately halt the enforcement of the tax laws within the next 7 days.
Nigeria stands at a volatile crossroad. Following the presidential assent to the 2025 tax bill, the nation has witnessed a systematic what was presented as reform has been exposed as the regime of fiscal extraction. The current administration under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has introduced a tax framework that ignores the economic reality of 70% of the population. The youth wing of the African Democratic Congress (ADC) hereby issue a final ultimatum to the presidency. The government has 7 days until the close of business on Saturday, February 3rd, 2026, to take the following corrective actions.
The group warned that unless the government withdraws the disputed tax provisions, removes what it described as a 20% ransom clause, and abolish paramilitary powers granted to tax collectors, it will mobilize Nigerian youth for a nationwide occupation of fiscal and revenue-generating institutions. He noted that the youth wing had earlier staged a protest at the National Assembly where it submitted what it termed a dossier of grievances over alleged legislative forgery and fiscal operation, but claimed no action was taken, insisting that their actions are aimed at protecting citizens from policies it believes could worsen economic hardship. Meanwhile, many Nigerians express hope that any tax reform introduced by the federal government will prioritize economic growth and social justice and the overall well-being of the country's teeming population. From Kano, Idris Jibrin, Global Television News.
In the meantime, a former presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, is set to formally join the African Democratic Congress amid ongoing consultations ahead of the 2027 general elections. A principal official of the party in Abuja said Obi had concluded plans to join the party and hold a declaration rally in Enugu State, the political capital of the Southeast, on December 31st. According to the official, Obi's supporters and loyalists have begun arrangement for the defection. Still talking politics, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has rejected claims that he has pulled out of the 2027 presidential contest, calling the reports false and misleading. Atiku, who was the People's Democratic Party's candidate in the 2023 election, was said in some report to have stepped aside for Peter Obi, the Labour Party's 2023 presidential candidate. The story also claimed that Atiku supported a one-term presidency for Obi in the interests of regional balance. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Nyesom Wike, has taken a swipe at politicians who recently defected to the All Progressive Congress, APC, accusing them of showing loyalty to President Bola Tinubu only after the election were won. Speaking at a Thanksgiving service hosted by the chairman of the South-South Development Commission, Chibudom Nwuchi, and his family in Ochiba community, Ahoda East local government area of Rivers State, Wike said those now chanting support slogans were nowhere to be found during the critical moment. The Rivers State governor also declared that political activities in Rivers State would formally resume in January 2026. He commended residents of Ahoda East and Ahoda West for their steadfast support for President Tinubu, noting that their commitment played a vital role in the president's victory in the 2023 general elections. And now to Lagos State, where the caucus of the APC in United Kingdom have called on Nigerians to support President Bola Tinubu's administration and ensure his victory for a second term. In a statement the caucus made at the end of its year dinner held in Bromley, London, in his address, the chairman of the caucus, Tayo Shodinde, reiterated the chapter's pride in the renewed hope agenda of the president. Borno State Senator Ali Ndume has urged Nigerians not to allow religion to become a source of division. Senator Ndume gave the charge during a Christmas luncheon organized for Christian internally displaced persons, IDPs, at the Christian Association of Nigeria Center in Wulari Ward, Maiduguri, Borno State. He said both Islam and Christianity preach kindness, patience, and mercy to all religions across the nations. You're watching the live broadcast of the Midday News. When the Midday News returns, power distributors roll out 700,000 free meters. Details coming shortly, plus foreign and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us. You're welcome back from that break. If you're just tuning in, this is the live broadcast of the Midday News on Global Television. And now to business news, where President Bola Tinubu has approved the cancellation of a substantial portion of debt owed by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited to the Federation account, wiping off about $1.42 billion and 5.57 trillion naira. The approval was documented by the Nigeria Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, titled Report of October 2025 Revenue Collection, presented at the Federation Accounts Allocation Committee meeting held on November 18, 2025. The directive effectively clears the legacy debt accumulated up to December 31, 2024, resolving long-standing disputes between the NNPC Limited and the Federation, while leaving current liabilities from 2025 operations under ongoing monitoring. Still talking business, the Federation Accounts Allocation Committee has continued its investigation into the Road Infrastructure Tax Credit Scheme, as only 3 out of 7 participating companies have responded to requests for details on their involvement, expenditure, and project execution under the program. This was disclosed in the report of the FAC Post-Mortem Subcommittee meeting for November 2025, which revealed deductions made for the scheme between February 2024 and September 2025. According to the document, the subcommittee wrote to the Federal Ministries of Finance and Works, the Federal Inland Revenue Service, as well as firms participating in the scheme, seeking information on the level of involvement in the scheme, the amount spent, and the level of ongoing projects from 2019 to 2025. The Central Bank of Nigeria, in a data, says Nigeria's external reserves have grown by $4.39 billion between December 23, 2024 and December 23, 2025. The data indicated that the reserves increased by approximately 10.75% within the period under review. Now, as of Tuesday, December 23, the FX reserves stood at $40.24 billion, higher than the $40.85 billion on the same day last year. The reserves have maintained an upward trajectory in the last few months of the year, although there were few periods of decline. Electricity distributors companies have commenced the distribution of prepaid meters at no cost to their customers, although it was gathered that the meters are largely for Band A and some Band B customers. This is coming a few weeks after the chairman of the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission, Musiliu Hussaini, accused the DISCOs of refusing to pick available meters for onward distribution to their customers. At the recently held 4th NESI stakeholders meeting in Abuja, Hussaini revealed that there are currently 600,000 to 700,000 meters available in the country. And now to news making rounds on the foreign scene. Somalia is leading a growing international backlash against Israel over its recognition of Somaliland as an independent state. In a statement, the Somali Prime Minister's office said the region is an integral, inseparable, and inalienable part of Somali's sovereign territory and rejected Israel's recognition as unlawful. The African Union, the Arab League, Nigeria, Egypt, and a number of other countries and international organizations have condemned Israel's action, saying they pose a serious threat to international peace and security. Hopes of peace in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo are fading as fresh clashes erupted in the town of Uvira, raising concerns about the fragility of recent diplomatic efforts. The violence comes just weeks after Rwanda and the Congolese government reaffirmed their commitment to a US-brokered peace deal in Washington, despite the Rwanda-backed M23 rebel groups not being a signatory to the agreement. Now, although the United States accuses Rwanda of violating the deal and the M23 announced it would withdraw, residents say rebel fighters have remained in Uvira, some dressed in plain clothes or police uniforms. Kinshasa has accused the group of regrouping in nearby hills, while local security sources reported that Congolese forces carried out drone strikes on suspected rebel boats at Kulundu, part of the Lake Tanganyika. Over now to the United States, where President Donald Trump and Ukrainian leader Vladimir Zelensky have expressed optimism as a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine is closing following their talks in Florida, even as the thorny issues of territory remains outstanding. Addressing journalists after meeting Zelensky at the Marigold Estate and following an earlier call with Russian President Vladimir Putin, Trump said the Moscow and Kyiv were closer than ever to a peace deal. Zelensky said that a 20-point peace plan unveiled last week was 90% agreed and the United States-Ukraine security guarantees were 100% agreed to. And now to the exciting world of sport, where the final round of group stage matches at the TotalEnergies Confederation of African Football African Cup of Nations Morocco 2025 begins on Monday, with qualifications still open for most teams as the race for the knockout stages intensifies. This was detailed in a release titled AFCON 2025. Final group games begin as knockout race tightens in Morocco, which is on the CAF website. Now, according to the Confederation of African Football, only 3 teams, Egypt, Nigeria, and Algeria, have secured places in the round of 16 after winning their first 2 matches, leaving the remaining slot to be decided over the final set of group matches. Still talking sport, Portuguese football icon Cristiano Ronaldo has been awarded the Best Middle East Player of the 16th edition of the Globe Soccer Awards held in Dubai. Fabrizio Romano, an independent Italian sport journalist and influencer, announced the award on his X page. The 40-year-old Al Nassr forward edged out competitors including Karim Benzema, Riyad Mahrez and Salim Al-Dawsari in a fan-voted category that highlights top performers in the region's league. Nigeria secured a hard-fought 3-2 victory over Tunisia in an entertaining Africa Cup of Nations encounter, keeping the Super Eagles firmly in course in the tournament. The match lived up to expectations as both sides traded attacks, with Nigeria taking the lead early before Tunisia responded with intensity. The Super Eagles showed resilience and composure, converting key chances while maintaining defensive discipline under pressure. And that's it on the Midday News. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and on StarTimes channel 276. Kindly follow us across all our social media platforms, now showing on your screen using at Global TV NG. I am Mukhtar Kasim, saying a very big thank you for watching.